It was a bitterly cold morning when Emma first caught sight of her. The mare, a gaunt shadow against the frost-tipped grass, seemed to shimmer with both fragility and defiance. Her ribs showed like a map of suffering, and yet her eyes, large, dark, impossibly human in their sadness, held a spark that refused to die. Most people would have turned away, shaken their heads at another creature left to suffer, but something in Emma's chest clenched tight. There was a story here, one that begged to be uncovered, and she felt an unshakable pull toward the mare, even before she had set foot in the pasture. The air was thick with the scent of hay, cold earth, and an unsettling undercurrent of neglect. Emma approached slowly, letting the horse see her, hoping to convey that she meant no harm. The mare's ears flicked back and forth, tense yet curious, her stance both defensive and desperate. Emma had been drawn to horses all her life, but there was something particularly magnetic about this one. Perhaps it was the mare's stubborn refusal to approach anyone, the way she moved as if carrying invisible chains of pain. Emma's hand hovered over the frost-dusted fence, heart pounding in a rhythm that matched the horse's anxious steps. Every step forward seemed to test the animal's fragile trust, and every careful movement Emma made was met with a flicker of hope in those haunting eyes. This was no ordinary rescue. It was a delicate negotiation of fear, hunger, and the faintest flicker of trust. Weeks before, Emma had left her own bustling city life behind, trading concrete for pastures and stables, seeking solace and purpose in the simplicity of working with horses. She had faced her own battles, losses that left invisible scars, moments of doubt that threatened to derail her entirely, but horses had always been her refuge. Each encounter with a horse became a mirror, reflecting her struggles and reminding her of resilience, patience, and unconditional understanding. And here, in this forgotten field, another story was waiting to unfold, one that would test every ounce of her skill, compassion, and courage. As she stepped closer, the mare shifted, tense muscles rippling under taut, malnourished skin. There was a caution in her movements, a silent warning etched in every wary glance. Yet, Emma noticed something unusual, something small, yet profoundly telling on the mare's back. At first, she thought it was dirt, a shadow of the harsh conditions she had endured. But then the glint of metal caught her eye, a faint but unmistakable imprint of a brand. The sight made Emma's stomach twist. This wasn't just neglect, it was ownership gone wrong, a mark left by someone who had treated this majestic creature as property rather than life. Her heart ached at the thought of the pain this horse had endured, the hunger, the fear, and the loneliness. The mare's brand was a story in itself, a symbol of past cruelty, but also a key to understanding the mystery behind her abandonment. Emma crouched slightly, letting her voice soften as she murmured soothing words. The mare's ears flicked toward her, and for a brief moment, time seemed to suspend itself. This was a fragile window, a chance to reach across the divide of trauma and fear. The frost underfoot crunched lightly as Emma inched closer, a hand outstretched, trembling not from cold but from anticipation and worry. She could see the mare's eyes glisten with unspoken questions, the subtle flicker of hope that maybe, just maybe, she wasn't entirely alone. And then, the mare shied backward, startled by an unexpected noise, a branch snapping in the wind. Emma froze, letting the mare decide. Patience, she reminded herself. Every rescue story she had ever been part of began with small victories. A step closer, a softened gaze, a tentative sniff. This moment, however fleeting, was the first sign of trust. The mare's muscles relaxed slightly, her stance shifting from defensive to watchful. Emma took a slow breath, heart hammering, knowing that the coming days would demand courage, persistence, and empathy beyond anything she had faced. She couldn't rush this process. The horse's past, etched into her very bones, dictated the pace. As the sun rose higher, spilling golden light across the frost, Emma's gaze remained fixed on the mare. In that quiet field, with only the whispering wind and the occasional caw of a distant crow, a bond began to form. The mare, though starved and scarred, exuded a quiet dignity, a resilience that spoke of survival against all odds. Emma felt it too, a profound connection that transcended words, a shared understanding of pain and the possibility of redemption. She knew that the journey ahead would not be easy. There would be setbacks, moments when hope seemed distant, and tests of trust that might feel impossible. But she also knew that within this horse's weary eyes lay the potential for a story that could inspire, move, and awaken the empathy in anyone who witnessed it. By midday, Emma had managed to get close enough to offer the mare a handful of oats, placed carefully on the frosted ground. The mare approached cautiously, sniffing, watching, calculating every move before daring to take the food. Emma's heart soared as she witnessed this fragile act of trust. It was a small, seemingly insignificant moment, yet it carried the weight of every struggle, every instance of pain, and every glimmer of hope. As the mare chewed carefully, Emma whispered softly, "We'll get through this together. You're not alone anymore." And though the mare did not respond in words, her eyes, glistening with unshed tears or perhaps the reflection of the morning sun, spoke volumes. Little did Emma know that what lay hidden on the mare's back, the brand, the story of ownership, and the secrets it held, would soon reveal a tragedy far greater than she could have imagined, and yet, a path toward healing and hope that would forever change both their lives. The field was silent, save for the gentle crunch of frost and the soft sighs of a mare beginning to trust. And in that silence, a story began, a story of survival, compassion, and the extraordinary bond between human and horse that would capture hearts and leave viewers breathless, urging them to witness every moment of this emotional journey. The following days were a careful dance of patience, observation, and trust-building. Emma returned to the field each morning, her boots crunching against frost-hardened earth, her breath visible in the cold air. The mare, whom Emma had begun calling Luna, after the silver sheen in her weary eyes, watched her approach with a mixture of suspicion and cautious curiosity. Every inch closer was a victory, every soft blink or lowered ear a sign that the bond was slowly strengthening. But the brand, glinting faintly under the morning sun, remained a constant reminder of Luna's past, a past marred by cruelty, neglect, and abandonment. Emma began documenting every detail, the mare's thin frame, the way she held herself, the subtle flinch when humans moved too quickly. Each scar, each rib visible beneath taut skin, told a story. And yet, beneath the visible suffering was an unspoken dignity, a resilience that refused to break even when hunger and exhaustion clawed at her body. Emma could not help but feel the weight of the injustice. How had anyone left such a noble creature to starve? The mare's eyes seemed to ask the same question, and in that shared confusion and sorrow, Emma felt a kinship she had never expected. It wasn't long before Emma realized the brand was more than just a symbol of ownership, it was a map to Luna's history. She traced the faint letters with careful fingers, noting the unusual markings that hinted at a breeder or farm that had likely discarded her. The discovery made Emma's heart pound. She knew that unraveling Luna's story might reveal heartbreak far deeper than her immediate hunger. But she also knew that if she could piece together the mystery, it would be the key to saving Luna, not just from starvation, but from a life defined by neglect and fear. As the week progressed, Emma's bond with Luna deepened through small, deliberate gestures. She would leave fresh water in shallow troughs, scatter oats at a safe distance, and talk to Luna in a calm, steady voice. The mare began to relax incrementally, dipping her head to drink, occasionally inching closer to Emma. One morning, as the sun spilled amber light across the field, Luna finally allowed Emma to touch her shoulder, a trembling, hesitant connection that felt like a bridge across years of mistrust. Emma's heart swelled. She knew this small act was monumental. But trust, she reminded herself, could be fleeting. One misstep could undo days of progress. It was during one of these early morning visits that Emma noticed something she had missed before. A faint lump beneath Luna's coat, just behind the shoulder, where the brand shimmered in the light. She crouched down, careful not to startle her, and gently traced the outline. It was subtle, almost imperceptible to an untrained eye, but Emma's heart sank. This was more than the typical signs of malnutrition. It was evidence that Luna had carried not just a brand, but a hidden burden, perhaps a physical reminder of past abuse. Her mind raced with possibilities. Had Luna been tied, overworked, or forced to carry something too heavy for her weakened frame. The questions were relentless, gnawing at her as she pondered what the discovery could mean. Determined to uncover the truth, Emma decided to involve Dr. Patel, a veterinarian she trusted implicitly. Within hours, the mare was coaxed into a temporary stall, her body tense but pliable under Emma's gentle guidance. Dr. Patel examined the brand and the lump with professional care, his expression growing serious as he traced the edges with gloved fingers. "This isn't just a mark," he murmured, almost to himself. "It's evidence of long-term mistreatment. She's been overworked, starved, and possibly left to carry heavy loads for months, maybe even years." His words hit Emma with the force of a hammer. Every sigh, every shiver from Luna's thin body now took on a new weight. This wasn't just survival, it was endurance in the face of repeated cruelty. The revelation sparked both anger and determination in Emma. How could anyone allow such a creature to suffer in silence? Yet, even as frustration flared, there was awe, an almost reverent wonder at Luna's resilience. The mare had endured so much, yet her spirit remained unbroken. And there, beneath the faint marks of abuse, Emma could see glimpses of the mare she knew existed, the Luna who had the strength to resist despair, to trust slowly, and to respond to even the smallest kindness. This juxtaposition of pain and hope fueled Emma's resolve. She knew that saving Luna wasn't just about feeding her or treating her physical wounds, it was about restoring her dignity, her confidence, and her belief that humans could be a source of safety, not fear. Over the next few days, Emma began a careful regimen of care, combining nutrition, gentle grooming, and consistent, patient interaction. She noted every flinch, every hesitant step, every softening of Luna's gaze. Slowly, the mare began to shed layers of fear. She allowed Emma to brush her matted coat, each stroke a quiet reassurance that the human before her could be trusted. Yet the mare's back remained a mystery. Something about the brand, the lump, the way her muscles tensed under pressure, it was as if the mare carried a secret that had been buried beneath the weight of neglect, waiting for the right person to uncover it. Emma's curiosity was matched only by her empathy. She wanted to know, to understand, to give Luna the life she deserved. One afternoon, while Emma was gently cleaning Luna's hooves, the mare suddenly froze, ears pinned back, muscles taut. Her body shook with tension as if a memory had surfaced, a flash of past pain, perhaps from the moment she had been branded or forced to carry a load far beyond her strength. Emma froze too, whispering softly, "It's okay, Luna. I won't hurt you." Slowly, deliberately, the mare's shoulders relaxed. The interaction was subtle, almost imperceptible, but it was a turning point. Luna was beginning to trust again, not blindly, but cautiously, tentatively, a small flicker of hope replacing fear. Emma realized that the mare's journey to healing would be a combination of discovery and patience. The brand on her back wasn't just a mark, it was a doorway into a story of tragedy, resilience, and ultimately redemption. And as the sun dipped low, casting long shadows across the field, Emma could see it, a creature once on the brink of despair now beginning to respond to care, to hope, and to human connection. This small victory felt monumental, a signal that the road ahead, while challenging, could lead to profound transformation, not just for Luna, but for anyone who witnessed her story. The stage was set for the next revelation. The brand was a key, the mare's resistance a puzzle, and Emma's empathy the bridge. What had been hidden on her back, waiting for the right eyes to see it, would soon come to light, and when it did, the story would shift from tragedy to a heart-stopping testament of endurance, survival, and the extraordinary bond between human and horse. The morning air was crisp and still, but Emma could feel the tension hanging heavier than usual. Luna, now slightly stronger from the careful feedings and tender care, had begun to trust Emma. But something about her posture, the subtle stiffness around her shoulders, hinted that a secret lingered beneath the surface. Emma's instincts had been right. There was more to uncover, a hidden story etched into the mare's very body. She approached slowly, heart pounding, careful to let Luna take the lead. As Emma gently ran her hands along Luna's coat, she felt the lump again, more distinct this time. Her fingers traced the contours of what was clearly more than a mere bruise or swelling. It was hard and oddly shaped, as if something had been pressed into Luna's flesh and left there. Emma froze. Her mind raced with the possibilities, each more horrifying than the last. She looked into Luna's eyes and saw a mixture of fear and resignation. The mare knew the truth even if she couldn't articulate it. Emma's heart clenched. This was no ordinary rescue. This was a revelation waiting to happen, one that would uncover a tragedy so profound it could break the heart of anyone who witnessed it. Calling in Dr. Patel again, Emma guided Luna into the small clinic they had set up near the pasture. The mare's muscles were tight, her breathing shallow, as though anticipating pain she had endured too many times before. Emma whispered continuously, reassuring her, stroking her neck, talking in a voice low and rhythmic, trying to calm the tension. Dr. Patel carefully examined the lump, his expression darkening with every moment. This is worse than we thought, he murmured. It's a piece of equipment, or some kind of contraption, likely used to control or overwork her. Whoever owned her left it embedded here. It's a cruel and deliberate act. Emma's stomach dropped. The realization was almost unbearable. Luna's starvation, her gaunt frame, the cautious mistrust in her eyes, it had all been compounded by physical abuse, a cruel device that had left a permanent mark. Tears stung Emma's eyes as she fought to maintain composure for the mare's sake. Every act of cruelty Luna had endured, every night spent shivering, every meal she had gone without, suddenly crystallized into a tangible, horrifying truth. And yet, even as the anger and sorrow swelled within Emma, there was admiration for Luna's resilience. The mare had survived unimaginable neglect and physical torment and had not surrendered entirely to despair. The procedure to remove the object was delicate. Luna's trust had to be absolute. Any sudden movement could cause injury. Emma stayed close, murmuring softly, her hand resting gently against the mare's neck. The mare flinched initially, but with each gentle word, each careful touch, she relaxed incrementally. Dr. Patel worked methodically, the device carefully extracted, revealing the true horror. It was a makeshift harness, cruelly designed to restrict movement and force the mare to carry weights far beyond her strength. Emma's chest tightened as she took in the scene. The mare had been enslaved in a way most people could scarcely imagine. Her starvation and weakness were not accidental but deliberate, compounded by this cruel instrument of control. As the device was removed, Luna trembled, not from fear, but from relief, from the sudden unburdening of a weight she had carried for months, perhaps years. Emma's heart soared and broke simultaneously. Relief and grief collided in a surge of emotion that left her breathless. The mare's eyes, wide and glistening, met Emma's, and in that gaze, a silent understanding passed between them, a shared acknowledgement of pain, survival, and the beginning of healing. The mare, starved, scarred, and tested beyond measure, was finally free from the chains of her past. Over the next several hours, Emma carefully tended to Luna, applying soothing ointments, massaging tense muscles, and offering small amounts of food at intervals to prevent shock. Each bite the mare accepted was a small victory, each nuzzle against Emma's shoulder a testament to the fragile but growing bond between them. And yet, even in this moment of progress, Emma knew the story wasn't over. Luna's physical wounds were being treated, but the psychological scars ran deep. She had learned fear as a default, mistrust as instinct. It would take patience, understanding, and unwavering consistency to undo the years of trauma etched into her body and psyche. Emma took a moment to step back and reflect. This rescue, this moment, was not just about saving a horse from starvation. It was about reclaiming a life, restoring dignity, and witnessing the incredible strength of a creature who had endured what few could imagine. Her phone buzzed lightly in her pocket, and she hesitated, remembering the thousands of viewers who would soon witness this story. She knew that sharing Luna's journey, carefully, respectfully, could inspire empathy, action, and awareness about animal neglect. Yet Emma also understood the responsibility. This wasn't entertainment. It was life, raw and unfiltered, with stakes higher than any dramatic narrative. By evening, Luna had settled into a small, safe stall, her muscles beginning to relax for the first time in months. Emma stayed nearby, watching as she cautiously explored her surroundings, sniffing hay, and nudging the water trough. She whispered stories to Luna, soft tales of hope and freedom, of open fields and gentle hands, reinforcing the bond between them. And as the last light of day faded, casting long shadows across the barn, Emma realized the mare had begun to transform, not just physically, but emotionally. The once fearful, starved mare was now responding to care, to kindness, to trust. The tragedy of her past was undeniable, yet the promise of a brighter future shimmered clearly in her eyes. Little did Emma know, the full story behind the brand and the harness would soon unfold in ways even she hadn't anticipated. Hidden messages of ownership, a tangled history of betrayal, and secrets that could alter the course of Luna's life were waiting to be revealed. The next chapter of this journey would bring shocking twists, emotional confrontations, and moments of awe that would test the limits of empathy, courage, and the extraordinary bond forming between human and horse. Emma could feel it in the quiet, in the tremble of Luna's muscles, and the glint of her eyes. A story far more profound than she had ever imagined was ready to be told. The following morning brought a quiet sense of anticipation, the kind that makes the air feel charged with possibility. Luna, now freed from the cruel harness and beginning to gain strength, stood in the barn as sunlight filtered through the wooden slats, illuminating the fine dust motes dancing in the warm beams. Emma watched her cautiously, noting the subtle changes. The mare's stance was taller, her eyes brighter, yet still tinged with the deep wariness of a life marred by neglect. Every twitch of an ear or flick of her tail was a reminder that trauma lingered, invisible but potent. The mare had survived, but the path to complete healing was just beginning. Dr. Patel arrived for a follow-up check, his presence calm and professional. He examined Luna thoroughly, checking her ribs, her joints, and the soft tissue around her shoulders. His expression softened as he inspected her eyes, noting the spark of life returning to a creature once on the brink. "She's remarkable," he said, almost in awe. "Most horses in her condition would be completely broken by now. There's resilience here, something extraordinary. But she'll need patience, a lot of care, and someone she trusts implicitly." Emma nodded, her heart swelling. She had already felt the bond, but hearing it acknowledged by an expert made it almost tangible, a lifeline she could cling to as she prepared for what was next. That afternoon, Emma decided it was time to start gentle groundwork, to reintroduce Luna to light exercise and engagement. With a soft rope halter and careful steps, she guided the mare out of the stall into the open paddock. Luna's hooves crunched softly against the frosty ground, muscles stiff yet responsive. She paused often, glancing at Emma, weighing the risks of movement against instinctual caution. Emma kept her voice calm and rhythmic, each word a whisper of reassurance, each gesture a promise that she meant no harm. Slowly, the mare began to move with a tentative confidence, exploring the boundaries of freedom after months of confinement, cruelty, and hunger. As Luna moved, Emma noticed the brand on her back once again, faint in the morning light but etched deeply into her skin. It was a painful reminder of her past, yet it also held the key to uncovering the full story. Emma had spent countless hours researching, contacting old farm registries, breeders, and local networks. Each call revealed fragments of a tale that was as tragic as it was complex. Luna had been passed from one negligent owner to another, each adding layers of suffering. The harness, the starvation, the abandonment. It was all part of a deliberate pattern of misuse, a cruel neglect that had left her weakened, wary, and haunted by memory. Despite the weight of this knowledge, Emma refused to let despair take hold. She focused instead on the small victories, Luna allowing her to touch her flanks, following her quietly, even softly nuzzling her hand. These moments were monumental. The mare's transformation, though slow, was undeniable. And as the day wore on, Emma noticed another subtle change, something that would become the turning point in their journey. Luna began to tilt her head in a way that suggested curiosity rather than fear. She began to test boundaries, approaching Emma on her own terms. It was a delicate dance, one that required Emma to match every hesitant step with patience, understanding, and unwavering kindness. Later, while brushing Luna's matted coat, Emma's fingers traced faint scars along her back, remnants of rope burns and the cruel harness. Her stomach tightened at the thought of what Luna had endured, yet her heart soared at the resilience she saw. Every scar was a testament to survival, every wary glance a story of endurance. Emma whispered softly, telling Luna that she was safe now, that the past could no longer define her. The mare responded with a tentative nuzzle against her shoulder, a fragile but meaningful gesture of trust. Emma felt tears well up. This connection was profound, a silent acknowledgement of shared pain and emerging hope. But even as healing progressed, the mare's past had one final, shocking revelation to deliver. During a routine grooming session, Emma discovered beneath Luna's mane a hidden mark, faint and almost imperceptible, but unmistakable, a second brand, smaller yet deliberate, with letters that spelled out a name tied to a distant farm infamous for overworking young horses. The shock hit Emma with full force. Luna's story was larger than she had imagined, stretching beyond this field, beyond the immediate abuse, into a network of neglect and exploitation. It was a painful truth, yet one that explained the mare's endurance, her learned caution, and the depth of her mistrust. Emma knew that this discovery was more than just historical, it was a turning point. Luna's story, once hidden in shadows, was coming into light. The emotional stakes had never been higher, but neither had the potential for triumph. Emma carefully documented the brand, taking photographs and notes, all while reassuring Luna with gentle strokes and soft murmurs. The mare responded, slowly but unmistakably, her trust growing with each careful gesture. It was a delicate balance, acknowledging the trauma while nurturing the emerging bond that could define the rest of Luna's life. By evening, as golden light bathed the paddock, Luna moved with a grace and awareness that seemed almost otherworldly given her recent state. Her eyes, once dull with starvation and fear, now held intelligence and curiosity. She tested Emma's limits gently, nudging her hand, stretching her neck, exploring the freedom of a body no longer burdened by chains or hunger. Emma felt a swell of pride and deep affection. The mare's resilience was a testament to survival, yes, but also to the extraordinary capacity of a horse to reclaim dignity when met with patience, kindness, and love. As night fell, Emma reflected on the journey so far. The mare had endured unimaginable suffering, yet she had survived, persisted, and begun to trust. The brands on her back, once symbols of cruelty, had become keys to uncovering a story that demanded to be told. And as Emma prepared Luna's stall for the night, she knew that the most heart-stopping, emotionally resonant moments were still to come, moments that would challenge their bond, reveal the final layers of Luna's tragic past, and ultimately lead to an uplifting resolution that would inspire and move anyone who witnessed it. The following days were transformative, a careful blend of recovery, trust, and gentle reintroduction to the world beyond the barn. Luna, once frail and fearful, began to move with newfound strength. Her ribs, though still visible, were starting to fill out, her hooves grew healthier under regular care, and her eyes, once haunted by abandonment, now sparkled with curiosity and cautious joy. Emma watched in awe as the mare tested her surroundings, sometimes prancing, sometimes stopping mid-step to glance at Emma, as if asking silently, "Am I safe now?" Each moment of courage felt monumental, proof that healing was not just physical, but deeply emotional. The story behind the brands, cruel as it had become a source of understanding rather than despair. Emma had pieced together the full narrative. Luna had been part of a chain of neglect spanning multiple owners, each compounding the previous traumas. The hidden harness, the starvation, the abuse, all were deliberate acts of cruelty, but they had failed to break her spirit. That resilience became the heart of the story Emma wanted to share. She documented it carefully, knowing that anyone who witnessed Luna's journey could feel a connection to the profound bond between human and horse, empathy for those who suffer in silence, and awe at the strength required to survive. One afternoon, Emma decided it was time to attempt riding Luna, but not in the traditional sense of control. Rather, a demonstration of trust and partnership. The mare approached the mounting block cautiously, Emma speaking in soft, reassuring tones. Luna shifted her weight nervously at first, then allowed Emma to guide her gently. With every step, Emma mirrored Luna's movements, letting the mare lead. The connection was palpable. Emma could feel Luna's heartbeat beneath her, a rhythm synchronized with her own, a silent dialogue of trust and understanding. It was a beautiful, almost cinematic moment, the culmination of patience, empathy, and unwavering dedication. As they walked around the pasture together, Emma reflected on the emotional journey. Luna, once a symbol of neglect, had become a beacon of resilience. Each brand, scar, and cautious glance had been transformed into a testament to survival, courage, and the power of trust. The mare nuzzled Emma's shoulder, and she whispered softly, "We made it. You're free now." It wasn't just physical freedom, it was liberation from fear, trauma, and the weight of the past. Emma felt tears prick her eyes, tears of relief, pride, and overwhelming love. Luna had endured so much, yet she had emerged stronger, braver, and willing to trust again. Word of Luna's story spread quickly, inspiring local communities and online followers alike. Viewers were captivated by the mare's dramatic transformation, from starved and branded to resilient and trusting. Emma's narrative, paired with cinematic footage of Luna's recovery, highlighted the bond between human and horse, the triumph of empathy over cruelty, and the quiet heroism found in patience and care. Comments poured in, stories of viewers' rescued animals, reflections on personal struggles, and expressions of gratitude for the emotional journey they had been allowed to witness. The mare's journey had transcended her individual story, becoming a symbol of hope, endurance, and the extraordinary power of compassion. As the sun set over the pasture, casting golden light across Luna's now healthy coat, Emma knew the mare's story had reached its most powerful moment, the reconciliation between past and present, trauma and trust, pain and healing. Luna stood tall, ears forward, eyes bright, a creature transformed not just by care, but by the extraordinary connection she had forged with a human who refused to give up on her. Emma stroked her mane gently, feeling the warmth of life, love, and trust flowing between them. It was a quiet, cinematic moment, one that encapsulated the essence of why stories like Luna's mattered. They reminded us that even in the face of cruelty and suffering, resilience, trust, and compassion can create miracles. And so, Luna's journey reached its heartwarming resolution. She had survived the unimaginable, reclaimed her strength and dignity, and formed a bond that would last a lifetime. Her scars remained as reminders of the past, but they no longer defined her. They were badges of courage, endurance, and hope. Emma's voiceover closes softly, inviting viewers to reflect on the story, to share it with others, and to take small steps toward compassion in their own lives. If Luna can trust again, if she can overcome, so can we. Share her story. Inspire change. And remember, every life, no matter how broken, deserves a chance to heal. As the screen fades to black, viewers are left with the lingering emotion of awe, empathy, and hope, the very essence of storytelling that connects hearts across distances. The mare that had once been left to starve had become a living testament to endurance, trust, and the extraordinary bond between human and horse, a story that would resonate for years to come.